McLaren until 5:30.
We're overnight on 3AW, and this time of this morning we always talk to Nic Hayes about media matters. Nic Hayes, good morning.
Good morning, boys. It's good to be with you. It's good to be with you while we're talking to you while you guys are in Melbourne. Melbourne, the most beautiful city in Australia, because you don't want to be living in Sydney right now.
Well, no, not at the moment. It is a worry, isn't it? It's a real worry. Yes, we must, of course, cover the hostage scene in Sydney, and this, as you point out, may actually end up being the media issue of the year, despite the fact we went through the top 10 list last week, didn't we, Nick?
Yeah, we don't want this to be the media issue of the year.
Indeed not.
If anything, I've purposely stayed away from talking about it. I haven't talked to or communicated on any social media at all about it, because this is exactly what this kind of terrorist or lone wolf, as we're referring to him as. I think that a lot of information has got out over the day. A lot of speculation from the media as well. Some very rotten media, boys. Some very rotten media displayed, I think,
really?
by some certain publications, particularly in Sydney. I won't name the newspaper, but just really sensationalist, alarmist, panic-stricken type media that I think is probably where, you guys have worked in media and have been journalists for a long period of time. It just almost puts the whole industry to shame, to be truthful. It is headlines that just don't need to be seen, and look, you only have to really sort of look it up on the internet. It is a Sydney newspaper, and quite frankly, it's a News Limited newspaper, and they've just really taken it to one extreme just to sell newspapers. This guy, he's not ISIL. He's not the terrorists that we've been talking about for the last year or so, and what's been going on since over in Syria, and been seeing all these wonderful and devastating attacks that group has been doing, and yet this particular publication wanted to go away and name them and put all kinds of emotive words in there. It upsets me a little bit, because I think this is the sort of thing that we as Australians see this as sort of a threat to our society and the way of life, and that's exactly what they're going out to try and achieve here. And the best way to counterattack this is by living our lives in full and never, ever letting these people affect the way that we live.
But even now, this conversation and all the conversations being held in all the media outlets around Australia at the moment, for that matter around the world to a lesser degree, are really, in some ways, aiding the cause of terrorism, aren't they, Nick?
Yeah, absolutely. And Andrew, it's one thing, look, you only had to, tonight or last night, just turn on the TV, and it's on every single station. Every radio is broadcast and every newspaper is covering it. And I suppose rightly so, because with everything that has gone around the world, this kind of act, we haven't seen this kind of act on Australian soil. Only a couple of months ago, if you remember, we were talking about St Martin's Square and St Martin's Place, where there was an ISIL attack that was going to take place, where they were going to try and capture an unknown Australian and just execute them in the middle of the public place.
True.
It just so happens that it's a couple of months down the track, and they still aim to be back there doing it there. Look, we are, in a way, but I think what we have to do as Australians, and the Prime Minister is showing such great leadership here, is to say, we won't let these people run our lives. We won't let them take over, and the best way to do it is to live good lives and to get on with life. And I think he showed great leadership, probably some leadership that we see in particularly hot times for the Prime Minister, as he did with the Malaysian Airlines, the two flights that went down there, and he's showing it again here. But look, we are doing it. I suppose we're always going to be talking about it, but as soon as we can get this over and done with, the quicker that we can move on with life and really, just live the lives that Australians and everyone that has gone before us has set us up for.
I agree, and it's been rather heartening to hear that 40-odd different Muslim groups around Australia have condemned the actions there in Martin Place.
Yeah, look, look, this is not an act of terrorism. This is a lone wolf. This is without any better words, a nutbag that is just looking to take he's just had a bad day and is looking to take it out on the rest of the world. And quite frankly, we just put it aside and just say, look, it could happen anywhere, pretty much at any time. But look, you know what I love about our emergency services is that they're pretty quick off the mark to locate them, find them. And the job that they're doing is, you know, we might say, well, why don't they just go crashing in? No, there's lives to be saved here, and it's not the lives of the terrorists that we're looking to do, it's the lives of the hostages, and we'll get through this, and we'll get bigger, better, and stronger for it. I sort of, you know, I think the Australian spirit there is far greater, far stronger, and can never be broken.
Well said, Nick. Now, lots of other things in the media, particularly politically, of course. The budget that apparently at this stage still has trouble being sold. Start there. That is still very much media news in the last, 72. Well, it's been media news since last year, or virtually.
The 365 days they call 2014 is a year that Mr. Tony Abbott is just going to go, you know what, I'm going to put that one aside. I'm going to see what I can do for 2015. 2014 hasn't been a great year for the big man. But look, even today, just seeing some great leadership, there is moments there that he'll be able to look back and say, look, he's done well. Look, there is a genuine feeling in the media that he's actually trying to push very, very hard before Christmas to get out every single negative piece of bad news that he possibly can. Try and kick off 2015 with a nice, fresh start. Now, this is a political manoeuvre that is done quite often. Get all the bad news out before Christmas. We have Christmas and New Year's. The people, the public, the Australian people become all lovey-dovey with each other because it's Christmas time. We're in the moment of forgiving and even sometimes forgetting. So that's what I think the Prime Minister is trying to do, is get all that negative stuff out there now. He's hoping the likes of the Peter Credlin, all the debacles that is going on with around her, and also too that his cabinet is going through. The issues of the budget haven't been great for him. Look, there's a lot that's going on. He's just looking for a nice, fresh start, and he's hoping, I think all he's hoping for Christmas is not his two front teeth, just 2 years of just, relatively good leadership.
Yes, and Peter Credlin, this shadowy figure that's become sort of centre stage, and apparently those within the coalition don't like her at all. I don't know, it's something very strange to me. It's the first time since Junie Morosi back in the 70s. I can remember a figure like this emerging from the sort of, the administration side as such of politics.
Well, they don't like it because her husband is also very senior Liberal, so that doesn't help much. And the other thing is that, and the Prime Minister came out and said, if her name was Peter Credlin, then people wouldn't have such a big issue with it. But because it's Peta, a female, a woman, he's come up and stood up in front and said, look, we're going to have these issues within Cabinet. These kind of issues, again, it's probably just the culmination of negative things that have been happening with the Liberal Party and also to the federal government. They're trying to get them all out. They're airing all their dirty laundry right now and hoping that 2015 is going to be a big year for them. So they can recover here. There's no denying it.
Oh, yes, they've still got a couple of years. And I do think that Bill Shorten's got to come up with some alternatives. He has turned into Dr. No himself, as Tony Abbott was 18 months or so ago. And he's got to really come up with the ideas that he believes will work, policies that will work, and how they will be funded too. It's all very well just saying, oh, this is terrible, the way he's cutting back, Abbott's cutting back on spending like this and education and health and all that. Anyway, we'll no doubt hear from him.
Andrew, you're spot on there, but you know what? The Australian people are a lot smarter than I think politicians give us credit for. The Australian people have realised that this whole negative naysaying and just been, opposing everything, that is the role of the opposition. But if you're a government that is seeing a $40 billion deficit, and you know what? I love love governments, and I love governments that are prepared to be a little bit flexible and can roll with the times and deal with the current situation and not be stuck to the rules and the promises that they made when they thought it was a very different position. I love a government that can go away and say, hey, we don't exactly, we're not in the position that we thought we might be, but we're going to change it and we're going to make it work and we're going to make it happen.
Yeah.
And I think Australian people are starting to wake up to that, so that negative politics, it's going to be an interesting year for politics in 2015. The negative politics, I don't think the Australian public are going to put up with.
Now, you're making predictions. Nic Hayes here. He's calling 2015 the year of disruption. Please explain, Nick.
Look, it has been. I think, the biggest word I think that's been used around in media and around in society today has been the word disruption. There's a disruptive attitude to everything. Uber, the nice little taxi service that's not really a taxi. What else? There's...
disrupting the taxi industry, yes.
You've got Gumtree, where you, instead of putting things up on classifieds and paying newspapers to selling your goods, you put it up free of charge on a website and people come and buy. I mean, Airbnb. I mean, if you haven't heard of Airbnb and you're going travelling soon, look it up.
Yeah, Joanne and I just used Airbnb just about a month ago to make an advance booking, yes. It's just, you wouldn't have heard of it 2 years ago,
Who would have heard of it? But look, the whole thing is this disruptive attitude, and this is why the word disruptive has been so big in 2014, and it will be even more so in 2015. It's not the technology that's disruptive. It's actually just coming up with a better quality service. If the service and the content out there was of top quality, then nothing could disrupt that. But because taxis, you get into a taxi these days, half of them don't know where they're going if they arrive on time, and heaven forbid that the taxi's clean. And not to all the Melbourne taxi drivers, by the way, because I rate you guys. I know a lot of you listen at this time of night. You guys are good, but it's your compatriots around the rest of the country that aren't really doing so good.
Oh, right, okay.
I'll support this. I'll support Melbourne taxis. I like them.
Yeah, no, I have had no trouble. I know they get knocked at times, but it's a hell of a job and not very well paid. Yes, it is a new way of delivery, isn't it, of so many goods and services, and it has disrupted traditional businesses and how they, reach the public, their customers.
Correct. So look, 2014, 2015, it has and will be the year of disruption. The one thing, if there's one call out, one thing for all of us to learn, that is, if you provide a service or you provide a product, just deliver it in the best possible way that you can, with some good customer service and some good support, and we'll love it and we'll use it forever. It's just that those industries that have been hurting or lacking in that area, they're real potential targets there for technology to take over. And remembering, technology is only 1%. It's just a platform. The rest of it is content. The rest of it is the product and service. And if the product and service is good, no one is going to get disrupted anyway.
Good point, yeah, very good point, Nick. Thank you very much once again, Nick, and have yourself a good week. We'll speak next week.
Look forward to it, boys.
Nic Hayes, overnight on 3AW.